outside world as something for people who are soft and who are sentimental and. Is it audible?
For me it is audible, but I don't know why dancers may be facing. I think.
Are you all able to hear?
Yes.
Yes, audible.
But side it is going.
My position.
My position, I think, a little bit lift it up.
Close.
Okay.
Yes.
Hare Krishna. So generally they think that okay, so bhakti yoga means only singing bhajan kirtan and there is no philosophy. And that's how people generally look at this. We have come across people who just say that उसमें तो औरतें रहती हैं, सिर्फ women they come and they do some kirtan and all. So the conception of yoga is like Ashtanga yoga, Hatha yoga, wherein you do physically you do quite a lot of things. So whereas bhakti yoga is very important for we as the soul to understand this is a very important connection to be established, where to connect, whom to connect. I think it's fine. It's working. Yeah, it's working. So, of course, there is a lot to talk about this topic, but I will just basic some things I would like to share based on the teachings of our spiritual master Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. He comes under the parampara of Brahmamatva Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. It's a bona fide Sampradaya coming from Brahmaji itself. And it's a Guru-disciple parampara. Guru parampara we call it. As Krishna also talks about it in Bhagavad Gita. Evam parampara praptam, he says. That this knowledge has to be received through parampara. It's not that we just go and buy some book and we may become a scholar of Bhagavad Gita, because if you are bright and sharp, you can memorize all the 700 shlokas. There's nothing like it. But then, what is the essence in that, we will not get. That would come only if we receive it through parampara. There is a Guru Sishya parampara by which this knowledge as it is has been forwarded. So Srila Prabhupada comes under that parampara, and we had the great fortune of hearing from him his lectures, conversations, reading his books. So many books he has written, and worldwide, ISKCON is a worldwide movement across the globe. Things are happening. So the impact has been left by him in 1977 itself. 1966 to 1977. Just 10 years of time, Prabhupada established Bhakti Yoga philosophy and the process of doing that Bhakti Yoga in just 10 years in 108 temples across the globe with more than 10,000 full-time Westerner disciples, means who dedicated themselves to not some convenient yoga thing wherein you can smoke and you can drink and you can do yoga exercise. Not that. Very strict regiment which was given to them of following certain rules and regulations and chanting the mantras. So this cannot happen unless there is an intervention in that, divine intervention which happens. Otherwise, it's not possible when a person who is he is old, 70 years old, he travels all the way to New York in a cargo ship, because he didn't get a regular ship to go at that time. And then he reaches there and he starts such a movement called International Society for Krishna Consciousness, and wrote so many books. So 70 to 80 years, this is the miracle which we see. And now we have more than 400 to 500 centers across the globe. Everywhere you go, you will find a center. And there the Bhakti Yoga process is being practiced. Many new people are joining, many youngsters are joining into this process, because it's very personal. It's very personal. Because impersonal thing doesn't stay for long with us. We are not impersonalists. Everything has got some emotions behind it. So when that connection is established, then it makes sense to us as a soul. So anyway, just beginning, I wanted to share these points. If you see bhakti, it has two words. Bhakti yoga, has two words. Yoga, if you see, is very popular word these days. Oftentimes it is just understood to be the process of just some physical bodily postures. But the Sanskrit root of yoga is yujyati iti yoga, or that which connects. Connect what to what? Connect us, the Jivatma, to God or Paramatma. Process of connecting soul to super soul, or the living entity to God, or Jivatma to Paramatma. This is the connect. In a proper bond is called yoga. There are different types of yoga: karma yoga, dhyana yoga, ashtanga yoga, hatha yoga, and bhakti yoga. Now, what is bhakti, the second word, out of these two? Bhakti represents the path of pure devotion. So bhakti yoga would mean the process of connecting or reconnecting. Reconnecting of the jiva to Sri Krishna or God through the process of devotional service. We could connect to different forms, but Bhakti Yoga is considered to be the topmost and the fastest as per Sri Krishna. In the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, he explains about it. The Jnana Yoga is the process of knowing about Krishna or knowing about the Supreme Lord through knowledge. Karma Yoga is the process of performing fruitive activity, and Bhakti Yoga is the process of falling in love through seva. Now this information would not come other than from the parampara, where they have experienced it, where they have practiced it in this manner. There are many books people have written on Bhakti Yoga or on Bhagavad Gita, but what they have done is they have put their own experience in it, which is very limited. Whatever they have experienced, they have written in that format. But when you receive it from the parampara, you really get the essence of it. And then when you practice it, you get the result also. So it's a very practical thing. So Bhakti Yoga comprises of all the ingredients of other yogic processes. You can say it's a topmost ladder, in the ladder, the topmost step. You go through Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga and all. You reach the top, which is Bhakti Yoga. So Bhakti Yoga culminates all these things. It has all these angas in it already. So we don't have to go step by step. You can take an elevator and also go direct to Bhakti Yoga. So these processes are like that. I'll give you a mundane example so that you can understand the spiritual perspective. When somebody falls in love with a person or starts, liking the person, what are the steps the lover would take for the beloved? Because I said Bhakti Yoga is the process of falling in love with the Supreme Lord through seva. Generally what happens, the lover, he would like to know more about that person. would think more about that person. This is the situation. Would like to please that person who he is in love with. Similarly, the process of falling in love with Krishna is bhakti yoga. And in higher terms. Of course, there are many nuances of it. But in higher terms, this is the thing, which people refrain from speaking at all. Because, it somehow they feel that it restricts it limits us from exploring beyond. There's nothing beyond. Beyond is that only. You have to, as I said, we are personal. There has to be some connection. It cannot be impersonally doing something. So, falling in love with Krishna is bhakti yoga, comprising of knowing the Lord, which is jnana yoga, thinking of the Lord, which is dhyana yoga, and the process of serving the Lord is karma yoga. So these all yoga components put together takes you to fall in love. Because you have to know about Krishna, what he likes, what he dislikes, where he stands. Because if you want to love the beloved is Krishna here, so then you should know what he is thinking about us, what he is thinking about this whole world. And that knowledge is what he shares with Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita, in 18 chapters, 700 verses. So, we are all inclined to work, if you consider karma yoga. So, alright, you work, but yoga means link up the result of your work to Krishna. So, when your karma, when it is linked up with Krishna, then it is called karma yoga. So, this karma yoga, if you see, this is how it begins, Krishna, the whole Bhagavad Gita. Reason being, this is very familiar to everybody. Everybody is very much familiar with karma yoga, but not that much with bhakti yoga. So he gradually takes up from karma to jnana to dhyana to the thing which is unfamiliar to us. Start with familiar and then go to the unfamiliar. So everybody connects with karma yoga. There are karma yogis. So this karma yoga starts from sakama karma yoga. What is the sakama karma yoga? Which means work with attachment. Now you do your work, but you have attachment also to the fruits of the work. You want to keep it for yourself. This is called, it starts with that, karma yoga, it's sakama karma yoga. Then there are 3 levels of work, if you consider. One is working only for the fruits, which is called karma kanda. And many of you might have heard these words, which is being used, karma kanda. This is also work. Work means working only for the fruits. ये करेंगे इससे क्या मिलेगा? ये करेंगे इससे क्या मिलेगा? And then that is what is driving him to work. I want it. Second, establishing Krishna as the goal. That is the second. Establishing Krishna as the goal, yet remaining attached to the fruits, which is called sakama karma yoga. Third, being completely detached from fruits of work, which is called nishkama karma yoga. So you have karma kanda, you have sakama karma yoga, and then you have nishkama karma yoga. In the second form of work, which is sakama karma yoga, through the mode of passion, if you see, though the mode of passion is still present in that person, one advances from passion to goodness by renouncing the portion of the result of one's work. So there are 3 levels. That is, one is mode of ignorance, mode of passion, and mode of goodness. It's called 3 modes of nature. We are all governed by these 3 modes of nature. You will see, early morning, you will feel yourself in the mode of goodness. As the day progresses, you will feel passion getting into you. And then as night comes, complete ignorance, tamogun, want to sleep. And rajogun means passion. Sattva gun means goodness. So, a person who is a sakama karma yogi, the mode of passion is still present in him because he is trying to establish Krishna as the goal, yet he is attached to the fruits. One advances from that passion to goodness by slowly renouncing a portion of the result of one's work. So you will see such people will give some donation to, or some charity, something related to the Lord's service or seva. They want to give. With their hard-earned money, they are giving. Okay, please take. Please take, but not all. I cannot give all. I can give only little. Please have it. So a person working in this way will gradually become detached. By slowly giving, he will develop that detachment from this whole thing which is possessing, attains transcendental knowledge, and advances towards the transcendental platform, which is Krishna Prema, love of God, which is the highest stage in bhakti. So there are, as I was explaining, there are nuances in bhakti. People are situated at different levels. Their sacrifice or their commitment is there. Some don't have, some have, some have fully dedicated themselves for this purpose. So this way one comes to the Nishkama Yoga, completely selfless, detached from the fruits of work, and finally from there come to the terrace of Prema Bhakti. The ladder is taking you to the terrace of Prema Bhakti, or you can say Uttama Bhakti. That's also one terminology which is used. Where such soul or individual serves the Supreme Lord in pure, loving sentiments, with no ulterior motives, no such motives. If you have heard carefully, generally when somebody starts narrating the Bhagavad Gita, they will say, Krishna Arjuna Samvade Yoga Shastri. That is how they start. So why is Bhagavad Gita called a Yoga Shastra? Bhagavad Gita is called Yoga Shastra because it teaches yoga. Yoga, as we discussed, what does yoga means? Yoga is currently thought of as Ashtanga Yoga. But Ashtanga Yoga is just one of the many types of yoga. Besides Ashtanga Yoga, there is Bhakti Yoga, there is Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, and Karma Yoga, as we discussed. Today the word yoga is equated with Ashtanga Yoga. Most of the time you find this. Even the yoga day which we are practicing, there's a day fixed for that. What primarily we are doing is some kind of asana. So in Ashtanga Yoga there are divisions are there. Yama, Niyama, Pranayama and all that. Dharana. Various stages are there. But actually yoga is a generic word which means connection. And this connection happens in many ways. So the Bhagavad Gita is called as Yoga Shastra firstly because it teaches yoga. We see that many of the chapters in Bhagavad Gita talk about yoga repeatedly. Repeatedly it talks about yoga. So this word yoga in fact appears nearly 78 times in the Bhagavad Gita. The word yoga itself. And you can say in 18 chapters, total 18 chapters, 15 chapters consist this word, yoga, appearing in it. Only in the chapter 1, chapter 15 and chapter 17, the word yoga is not found. But otherwise it is there in all the other 15 chapters. So, and the word yoga has related variants like the word yogi, which is also found 28 times in Bhagavad Gita. It's a variant of yogi. Yogi nam api sarvesham So like that many verses are there. And the word yukta, that is also a variant of yoga, which means connected. Yogi is one who practices yoga. Yukta is one who is connected, already connected. So yukta is found 49 times around in Bhagavad Gita. Thus we see the word yoga and its variants totally nearly 155 times it appears. Now out of 700 verses of Bhagavad Gita, 155 times is more than 20%. So from the sheer frequency of the word yoga, we can understand that it's a very central teaching of the Bhagavad Gita. One is the frequency of the word yoga, and second is the teaching. So as discussed earlier, it teaches various paths. The 6th chapter is about the Ashtanga Yoga in Bhagavad Gita. But there are also other paths like Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga being discussed. Besides the above, we also see in Bhagavad Gita, it enables Arjuna to do yoga. At the start of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna and Arjuna were connected. Both were there for the same mission of establishing dharma. But at the end of first chapter, because of seeing his relatives and thinking about how he would kill all of them, Arjuna became unnerved, and there was viyoga, means separation. Yoga and viyoga. Yoga means connection. Viyoga means separation, disconnection. So they became disconnected at that point. And he said, "My hands are shivering. I cannot hold this dandi. Please give me some understanding about this whole thing, what you are expecting me to do. Because somehow I feel now I should take sannyas." So this is the dilemma in which the whole Bhagavad Gita is spoken. Arjuna's state of mind, that he was not wanting to do what for which he had come there. They had made up their mind to have a big battle over there, and Arjuna, being a Kshatriya, is nothing new to see blood and killing. He has done it many times in the past. So why